Spirits of the Haunted Tracks. The haunted railroad tracks of San Antonio, a spooky legend that has been circulating for years. It is said that if you park your car on these tracks and put it in neutral, the ghosts of children who were killed when a train collided with their school bus will push your car over the tracks to safety. A group of college students hears about the legend and decides to check it out. One dark and eerie night, the students drive out to the location of the haunted tracks. As they pull up, they can feel the unease in the air. The tracks loom in the distance, barely visible in the dim light. The students get out of the car, and one of them says, "This place gives me the creeps." Another student responds, "Don't be such a scaredy cat. We're just here to see if the legend is true. Let's park the car on the tracks and see what happens." They all pile back into the car, and the driver puts it in neutral. Suddenly, they hear a faint noise coming from the tracks. The car starts moving, and they feel a jolt as it crosses the tracks. They hear giggling and laughing, and the sound of children's voices in the darkness. The driver turns the car around and parks it on the tracks again. They all get out and look around, but there is nothing there. One of them says, "That was weird. Did you guys feel that?" Another responds, "I don't know, but I don't want to stay here any longer. Let's go back to campus." As they drive away, they can't help but feel like they were being watched. The legend of the haunted tracks is more than just a story, and they can feel it in their bones. The next day, they can't stop thinking about what happened. They begin to do some research and discover the tragic story behind the legend. They learn that a school bus filled with children was hit by a train on those tracks many years ago. The students are shocked by this revelation and decide to investigate further. The legend of the haunted tracks has taken on a life of its own, but the students are determined to find out the truth. They realize that they are dealing with something much more than just a ghost story. There is a mystery to be solved, and they are the ones to do it. The next day, the group of college students continues their investigation into the legend of the haunted railroad tracks. They start by visiting the local library to look for any information about the train collision that occurred on the tracks many years ago. As they search through old newspapers and documents, they come across some shocking revelations. One of the students exclaims, "Guys, listen to this. The train collision that happened on these tracks was not just an accident. It was the result of sabotage." The group is stunned by this revelation. They realize that they are dealing with something much more sinister than just a ghost story. They decide to delve deeper into the mystery and find out who was responsible for the sabotage. As they continue their investigation, they visit the site of the train collision and speak to some of the local residents who have lived in the area for many years. They learn that strange things have been happening on those tracks for years. People have reported hearing strange noises and seeing ghostly figures in the area. One of the residents tells the students, "I've lived here for many years, and I can tell you that those tracks are cursed. The spirits of those children who died in the collision are still lingering in the area, seeking justice for their untimely deaths." The students are determined to get to the bottom of the mystery. They start by speaking to the families of the children who died in the collision. They learn that the families have never received closure about what happened to their loved ones. They still mourn the loss of their children and want to know the truth about what really happened on those tracks. The students decide to hold a candlelight vigil at the site of the train collision to honor the memory of the children who died. As they light their candles, they hear the sound of children's laughter and the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. They feel a sense of peace and closure, as if the spirits of the children are finally at rest. The investigation into the legend of the haunted railroad tracks has taken a surprising turn. The students have discovered a dark and sinister history behind the legend. They are determined to uncover the truth and give the families of the children who died the closure they deserve. However, they also realize that they may be putting themselves in danger by getting too close to the truth. The mystery deepens, and the tension builds as they continue their investigation. The college students are now more determined than ever to solve the mystery of the haunted railroad tracks. They have discovered that there was foul play involved in the train collision that killed the children, and they want to uncover the truth. One evening, they decide to park their car on the tracks and put it in neutral, just as the legend suggests. They want to experience the ghostly encounter for themselves and see if the spirits of the children will push their car to safety. As they wait in anticipation, the silence of the night is broken by a low rumble. They hear the sound of a train approaching, and their hearts start racing. Suddenly, they see the ghostly figure of a child standing in front of their car. One of the students screams, "Oh my God, do you see that? It's a ghost!" The figure of the child disappears, and the students are left trembling with fear. But their car starts moving, slowly at first, then gaining speed. They look at each other in amazement, realizing that the legend is true. The spirits of the children are pushing their car to safety. As they reach the end of the tracks, their car comes to a sudden stop. They get out and look back at the tracks, feeling a sense of awe and wonder. They know that they have experienced something truly supernatural, but their excitement is short-lived when they hear a strange noise coming from the nearby bushes. They see the ghostly figure of a child again, but this time it is not alone. Several other ghostly figures appear, surrounding the students. One of the students whispers, "We have to get out of here now." But before they can make a move, they hear a voice in their heads. It's a child's voice saying, "You have uncovered the truth, but the truth comes with a price. Beware of what you seek, for it may seek you in return." The students run back to their car and speed away from the haunted railroad tracks. They are left shaken and terrified by the ghostly encounter they have just experienced. As they gather their thoughts, they realize that they have uncovered a deeper mystery than they ever imagined. They know that they have to be careful in their pursuit of the truth, for the spirits of the children may not want their secrets to be revealed. After the ghostly encounter at the haunted railroad tracks, the college students are shaken but still determined to uncover the truth behind the tragedy that occurred many years ago. They continue to investigate, talking to locals and digging through old newspaper archives. One day they come across an old man who tells them that he was working as a conductor on the train that collided with the school bus. He shares a shocking revelation. The train was deliberately derailed by a group of corrupt businessmen who wanted to take over the land where the railroad tracks were located. The students are shocked and saddened by this news. They realize that the children who died were not just victims of a tragic accident, but also victims of greed and corruption. They know that they have to do something to honor the memory of the children and expose the truth. They organize a candlelight vigil at the site of the tragedy, inviting the families of the children who died and the community to come together in remembrance. They also plan to hold a press conference to share the story of the corruption and bring attention to the injustice. As they prepare for the vigil and the press conference, strange things begin to happen. They receive threatening phone calls and emails, warning them to stay quiet about what they have uncovered. They even see ghostly apparitions of the children, as if warning them to stop their investigation. But the students refuse to be intimidated. They know that they are doing the right thing by seeking justice for the children who died. On the night of the vigil, the students and the families of the children gather at the site of the tragedy. They light candles and share stories of their loved ones. The atmosphere is somber and emotional, but also filled with a sense of hope for justice. As the press conference begins, the students share the story of the corruption and how it led to the tragic deaths of the children. They also share their own experiences of the ghostly encounters at the haunted railroad tracks. The press conference makes headlines, and the story goes viral. The corrupt businessmen are exposed, and the community demands justice. The families of the children find closure, knowing that their loved ones did not die in vain. The students are hailed as heroes, and their bravery in uncovering the truth is praised by many. They have shown that even in the face of danger and adversity, the pursuit of justice and truth is worth it. As they walked back to their cars, Emily and Tyler couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched. The wind had picked up, and the branches of nearby trees rustled eerily. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew out Emily's flashlight, plunging them into darkness. Tyler's flashlight flickered, but remained on. "Emily, are you okay?" Tyler asked, shining his flashlight in her direction. "I'm fine, just a little shaken," Emily said, her voice quivering. They started walking again, keeping their flashlights trained on the ground ahead of them. As they approached the tracks, they heard a low, mournful moan. "What was that?" Tyler whispered, his grip tightening on his flashlight. "I don't know," Emily replied, her heart racing. Suddenly, they heard the sound of footsteps on gravel, and both of them swung their flashlights in the direction of the noise. Standing before them were the ghostly figures of 5 children, dressed in clothes from a bygone era. The children's eyes were sunken, and their skin was pale and translucent. Tyler gasped, and Emily stood frozen in terror as the ghostly children began to move toward them. "Who are you? What do you want?" Tyler yelled, hoping to scare the spirits away. The ghostly children continued to approach them, and Tyler and Emily slowly backed away. The wind picked up, and the trees around them began to sway violently. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning illuminated the sky, and the sound of thunder filled the air. Tyler and Emily realized that they needed to confront the spirits, or they would never be able to leave. Summoning all their courage, they stood their ground and faced the ghostly children. "We know what happened to you, and we want to help you," Emily said, her voice shaking. The ghostly children continued to approach, but their movements had slowed. Tyler and Emily realized that the children were not there to harm them, but to seek their help. "What can we do?" Tyler asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The ghostly children began to speak, their voices barely audible. They told Tyler and Emily about the day of the accident and how they had been trapped in the bus when the train hit it. They begged Tyler and Emily to help them find peace and move on to the afterlife. Tyler and Emily listened intently, nodding in agreement. They knew they had to do something to help the children. "We will do everything in our power to help you," Emily said, her voice filled with determination. The ghostly children smiled, and a sense of peace washed over Tyler and Emily. They knew that they had done the right thing by confronting the spirits and promising to help them find peace. As they turned to leave, the ghostly children faded away into the darkness, and Tyler and Emily knew that they had succeeded in their mission. As they got into their cars and started the engines, they knew that the spirits of the haunted tracks would always be with them. But now, they were no longer alone and lost. They were at peace. As the night progressed, the group began to feel uneasy. They could hear strange noises and whispers that seemed to be coming from all around them. Suddenly, they heard the sound of a train whistle in the distance. "What's that?" whispered Emily. "It sounds like a train," replied Jack. "But the tracks have been closed for years," said Tom. As the sound of the train grew louder, the group realized that they were not alone. The spirits of the children had returned, and they were angry. Suddenly, the ground began to shake, and the group could feel a powerful force pushing them towards the tracks. They tried to run, but they were caught in the grip of the spirits. "We have to do something!" yelled Jack. As they struggled to break free, Emily remembered the words of the old man they had met earlier that day. She quickly recited the prayer he had given her, and the spirits seemed to pause for a moment. The group took this opportunity to try and break free from the spirits' grasp. They ran towards the car, hoping to make their escape. Just as they were about to reach the car, a blinding light appeared in front of them. The spirits of the children had transformed into a terrifying entity, blocking their path. The group was frozen in fear as the entity approached them. Suddenly, Emily remembered the silver cross that the old man had given her. She pulled it out and held it up to the entity. The entity let out a blood-curdling scream and disappeared into the night. The group made their way back to the car, and Emily started the engine. As they drove away, they looked back at the haunted railroad tracks. The spirits of the children were gone, and the tracks were silent once more. "That was intense," said Tom. "Yeah, but we did it," replied Emily. As they drove away, the group realized that they had just experienced something truly terrifying. They would never forget the spirits of the haunted tracks, but they were relieved to have made it out alive.